let's move on to him. So Nick Cannon, after we've been trying to tell him for free for years, finally had himself an epiphany over there on the Breakfast Club, where the Masked Singer host, who's 44, opened up about his process of becoming a dad at 12. He said that welcoming his children the way he did was a response to his trauma. Now, I do have the clip, courtesy of uh what was it, the neighborhood talk? A sidebar. I actually, speaking of the Breakfast Club, I thought about bringing up that Dame Dash story where he was trying to call he was trying to call Charlemagne gay for doing celebrity news and gossip, and then trying to talk about you not a man or whatever. Mind, I'm looking at you and you giving full Butch Queen tease, and there's way more men out here who are gay and black that are way more masculine than you are presenting your lisping ass up on that platform. So I find it funny. So I was like, I didn't even want to waste the energy even going on, even though I just kind of slightly read them in passing, but I didn't want to like devote a full story to him and his idiocy. So I just thought I'd mention it here. But anyway, let's get into this Nick Cannon clip and then we'll go back and talk. So,
Do you think having all those kids was a response to your trauma?
Yeah, 100. Now I'm learning that now. Yeah, and it wasn't like I was acting out. It was more of being careless, being frivolous with my process because I could do it, because I had the money, because I had the access to whoever and however I wanted to move. And, okay, they coming at me, they asking me, opposed to like doing a mature thing and saying, hey, well, it probably makes more sense to do this. And then obviously life happens as well. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go have 12 kids. It was more about like, yo, I'm gonna just live life and have fun, and whatever happens, I can handle it. When it probably, being almost 45 now, I can sit back and be like, yeah, if I would have thought the process through a little bit more and took time to actually do the inner work, things might have been a little different in certain scenarios.
You wouldn't have 12 kids.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing, because I've always said this, every child that I had was made out of love, and there were strong relationships. It's just, if I would have did the work and the healing after getting divorced, I probably would have took my time in a lot of other scenarios. And for whatever reason, I thought that was the answer. A lot of times it was like, oh, well, I'm gonna figure it out over here. I'm gonna figure it out over here, opposed to like, yo, now you're leaving trauma every step of the way, instead of, fixing it from its origin and then being able to present itself. But then like concepts like monogamy and stuff like that, I still feel the same way
I was
about
going to ask you, has your view on that changed then?
Nah, not really. Not for me, and that, again, that's the work of, whether you want to go back to like Freud's process of like my childhood and my upbringing. I grew up in a very unorthodox situation and household, so I've always understood that, love happens differently. So monogamy has never really been my thing, but so that I'm pretty sure that plays a part of it as well too.
So you think?
So yeah, I'm actually glad that he finally came to that revelation, even though it took him a long time to process that and everything. But Chad, we could have told you that from the beginning. Now, one of the things I will say, and there's no shade, but I don't feel like those kids were made out of love. I think he's saying that because if he goes and says that the kids weren't made out of love, it makes it feel like that they were a mistake. They were a bunch of oops babies. And I think that now the kids are here. I definitely feel like he loves all of his children. So I'm not trying to say like he don't give a fuck about the kids, because I do feel like he does. But to sit up there and say like, well, my kids were made out of love, I don't know if I'm 110% buying that, because making it out of love would be what you did when you were married to Mariah Carey and you had Moroccan and Monroe, or rock and roll as they call them, where it's like you went through the process, you got married, you did the whole thing, y'all were together for a long time, you had the twins and that sort of thing. and you try to make it work in that situation. And I think that what that trauma response stemmed from is because, like he said, he grew up in an unorthodox household where monogamy wasn't a thing that he was exposed to. So he tried to break the chain and go and make it work with Mariah. Whatever transpired, transpired. Mariah talks about it in her memoir. I don't remember exactly what she said because it's been a long time since I listened to the book. But as the reason why their marriage didn't work out. And I don't recall Nick Cannon really speaking about the thing as and if it, you know, with me, out of sight, out of mind. I don't got time to sit up here and memorize every little detail of somebody's life. So I do feel like when you try to make it work, and when that situation happened, when the marriage broke up, it's like that trauma starts to come back. So it's like, how do I deal with that instead of me processing? Because apparently, you know, when we talk about a lot of things on this show, specifically Black men not being allowed to do anything, we don't get to process trauma. We don't get to deal with our emotions. And because any little thing you do, if you eat a banana, if you wear pink, if you do any little if you wear a little bonnet on your head, you're gay. And you know, you get that bullshit with like I was talking about before with Dame Dash questioning your masculinity because you're doing things that in his mind is bitch assness or feminine. And y'all need to stop looking at women as less than and treating them like they're nothing more than just a vessel for y'all to stick y'all dick in. I truly believe like there's a lot of men out here who genuinely hate women. Y'all only think that I'm not, and it's not meaning like y'all trying to say that women that y'all are gay because you hate women. You hate what a woman is and what a woman is about. So y'all throw all that shade on them, but you only see women as something as, oh, I just need to fuck and get pregnant and have them barefoot and taking care of all my needs or whatever the case is. That's the way I feel like y'all look at women in that whole textbook term of what a woman should be, not somebody who should have the right to vote, of the ability to hold down a job, to be able to do all the things, to be independent. Because then y'all feel like, well, where do I fit in? Because men are supposed to be providers. And there was this video I saw the other day where this man was like, well, what if I don't want to provide? I know that's controversial to say. It's like, what if I don't want to fit into those social economic norms that have been indoctrinated in us as men, that we're supposed to be the providers, we're supposed to go out and hunt for the boar and all this other stuff, or we're supposed to financially take care of the woman, and the women are supposed to just, you know, cook the bacon that I bring home. And it's like the ideologies are starting to change. I know I just went completely in a different direction. But then again, to think about it, bring it back, maybe that was another thing too, was like, you know what, looking at Nick Cannon, yeah, he was famous in his own right. He's successful. He's like the young black Ryan Seacrest. Like he doing the same thing he doing, him and all these other ones where they holding at 50,000 damn jobs. They got a radio show. They do, you know, all these little things. So he's kind of following in that same type of situation. But Mariah Carey was the biggest name that he was on. So he was always kind of looked at as Mr. Mariah, even though, like I said, Nick had his own thing going. And that could take its toll on someone where it's like, yeah, you're dating one of the biggest pop stars, or you're in a relationship and married to one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. So how do you deal with that? How do you navigate that? And then when the divorce comes, the trauma that comes with all that, you didn't deal with that. So you're like, you know what? And I've responded and my response to trauma has always been through sex as well. So I totally understand what, and being reckless about it. So I totally get where Nick was coming from with that. And that was like in my late 30s when I was doing that, where I went through this whole period of just like, there was a traumatic situation. I don't want to get into it too much on here, but how I dealt with it was through just a lot of real reckless sexual situations that I was putting myself in. Luckily, a lot of those men couldn't get pregnant, although I tried. But for the most part, yeah, with him, like he said, he had the money, he had the access, he had all the things that it was able to be there for him to be able to do the things that he's doing. But like I said before, when even though you have the money, the access, and things of that nature, what you have basically done is you have laid the seeds for your trauma to kind of be sprinkled through your children. So now they're going to have to figure out, how do I navigate through the traumas that a lot of adults will bestow upon their children, which I feel like happens to a lot of us, even me, where it's like your parents, because of what their parents did to them, subconsciously or maybe even consciously, they will subject their trauma or project their trauma onto their children. and so on and so forth. So we have to figure out a way to like break those chains. Maybe I guess therapy will be a way to go about it. But hopefully he was sincere and for real with this and not just giving a bunch of lip service because it sounded good on the Breakfast Club. Hopefully he is literally walking the walk and talking the talk in regards of what his revelation is, and he is doing the work to make himself a better person and all that. But then it kind of made me side him a little bit when they're saying, well, would you still have had 12 children even if you had came to this revelation sooner? To me, I feel like having a bunch of like 12 kids is a form of narcissism. It's like being fruitful and multiply. It comes from a place of narcissism. I'm sorry. So, and we know celebrities are very narcissistic. And not even if you're not a celebrity, there's people who do all of that, and it's like, yeah, it's narcissistic on your part to be trying to just lay your seed everywhere. Being a Rolling Stone, everywhere he laid his hat was his home, as the song goes. So, um, I feel like I hit all the buttons. So one person said in the comments, I hate when people try to make ignorance sound deeper than it is. Is it really ignorance though? They said 12 kids and 12 broken homes later, he came to that revelation. Another person said nothing beats a jet to trauma response. A jet to trauma response. I don't get that. Another person said that man doesn't listen because thousands of people told him this was a bad idea. Another person said, and the mothers are no better for participating in the circus. Well, yeah, and I said that too. The women participated because they looked at it they're probably looking at it from a financial standpoint. Is Nick Cannon? He's a celebrity. He has the money, and the restitute, excuse me, and the wherewithal to pretty much destitute me and wherewithal to provide because he is rich. So of course it's gonna go along with it because these women are willing to participate in the mess. But and then one person said fork found in kitchen. Another person said, while we're glad he has come to the epiphany that everyone saw, someone got to figure out how to help men connect the dots a bit faster. The slowness they possess in developing good emotional and mental skills leaves a lot to unpack. Is it their circle, the media, parenting, all the above? Like, what gaps are they experiencing that needs to be checked? Well, I think I hit the nail on that part where I said men are not allowed to feel emotion and to deal with their trauma and stuff like that. Y'all want to call everything that a man deals with emotion gay. So how can men deal with a lot of traumatic situations in their life if you won't allow them to because of whatever traumatic shit that you were raised on, you're passing down to your sons. Hence why a lot of them are so damn angry and emotionless all the damn time. So it is a lot to unpack. It is definitely a conversation that needs to be discussed further, but I don't have the time to do it. So this is all you're getting for now. Maybe we'll unpack it down the road. But I definitely want to hear from y'all. Leave your thoughts on this whole situation and this story regarding Nick and his 12 kids too late epiphany in the comments down below.